Welcome back to ScaleSpeedworks. My name's Mike. It has been a little while since I've done an update on the AMT speeder bike. And by a little while, I mean probably about a year or so. So first of all, my apologies. I would also like to say, as the channel has grown, many things have changed, and many things have stayed the same. One thing that has not changed is my love for Star Wars. I did make a promise that I was going to get back to this kit, so here we go. The last time we left off, our build looked like this. We are on step 7. We have all of this in place. We put this piece in, made our adjustments, rotated this cylinder just a little bit to hide the notch that it slips into right here. And back here to step 5, after putting this in, I did notice that the front bow here, this piece wasn't secure against the sides. So what we did is we got some tape, put some tape on there to kind of hold it together, and left these clamps on here to clamp this piece down. So hopefully it's all secure. It's been a year. Let's find out. Ooh. You can see I put some stress on that piece right there. That's not good. It is, however, going to be hidden once I paint everything. Yeah, that's not a big deal. I'm not worried about that. Let's take the tape off here. Tape held pretty well. Let's take the tape off. Yeah, there we go. So you can see this piece right here, nice and snug against both sides. So I'm happy with where we're at. Let's finish up step 7. We got these hoses, and then looks like they kind of continue on to step 8. So let's see if we can find those, and let's get those installed. All right, we got a lot of hoses here. Those up there, those over there. I'm pretty sure they only fit one way. It's not like you have a left and a right. These hoses are pretty unique. It's time for a new pair of cutters. Just noticed today my cutters don't spring back like they used to. Oh well. All right, this is what we have for now. So we're going to have to work with it. So be careful. There is a seam line right here on the hose and on all of these hoses. I recommend you take some 800 or even some 600 and just take that off. Don't worry about the grooves unless you really, really want to. You could get in here and cut all of these grooves again, but as long as there's a little bit of texture on here, I'm not going to worry. I think you're going to be just fine. I think we've already established that the parts aren't the best looking and they're not the best fitting. So whatever you could do. So I got the hoses cleaned up. Make this work for you. Do it. Let's see how they fit. Let's leave those there. Guessing this part, number 28, is going to go right here. I already tried to fit this piece on the semi-built speeder bike, and I know for sure you're going to need yourself a pair of tweezers, and I'll show you why. Right there, right under this cylinder, there's a notch. This hose fits in that notch. Why you don't glue it on beforehand, I don't know. So let's get out our Tamiya Extra Thin. Let's Let's make sure we know which way this hose goes. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit on this end. And we're also going to use our brush, put a little bit on the corresponding notch. I'm also going to put some in this hole. I'm going to put some on this end of the hose as well. Let me get my tweezers. I'll try and line up that notch first. Well, maybe that's not going to work. Let's put it in the hole here first. Hold it. And then I can adjust it and get it in there. Does it fit? Not quite, but we're getting there. There we go. Almost, almost. I'd say that's probably as good as you're going to get. Is it lined up? Yeah, I think it's lined up. I think it's okay. But you see, there's so much else going on, you're not going to notice the seam line or lack thereof on that hose. However, as I drop it, if you do want to cut the grooves in this hose, I highly suggest you get something like this. So this is a 3-sided file, and you could just get in between the grooves and use this, and this will sit there and it'll file out that seam line. I'm not concerned, so we're not going to do that. Let's get our next hose, which appears to be this one. Make sure we have it going the right direction. I think that is the right direction. Where does it go? Okay. So you see that hole right there? It's going to go right there. Let's test fit it in there. Where does it go to? Goes to here. Wow. All right. So I guess that's one of the problems with pre-painting parts, is that you don't know what's what and where it goes. I think this is a hose that we're looking for. So let's move those aside. Test fitting there. And yeah, that's it right there. Man, that looks fantastic. Goes in right there. Solid, solid fit. All right, let's get that glued in. That almost doesn't need glue. Man, that's a solid fit. I'm going to sand this up a little bit because you do want bare plastic to bare plastic contact when you're using a Tamiya extra thin or when you're using the testers. All right, doesn't take much, but I did take some paint off of that end and some paint off of that end. Now, you guys saw the fit. The fit looked great. So I am going to put just a little bit of Tamiya extra thin here. This would also be a good place to use the testers, and I think we're going to do that. The Tamiya is fantastic when parts fit real tight, but this is a little imprecise. So we're gonna put a dollop of glue there, and we're gonna put a dollop of glue there. And as I mentioned before, the testers is a little bit thicker, and it's gonna be good for maybe filling some holes. So we're gonna hold that there, stretch that around. Yeah. Yeah, you guys see that? That's exactly what we want. So I got those two done on step 7. Let's move on to step 8. See if we can find that hose. And it doesn't bother me right now that these hoses, some are painted, some aren't. Really not a big deal. I did steal the painted hoses from the other kit right now. But like I said, I don't care right now. It's not a huge deal because I'm going to eventually find the ones that are unpainted, and then we're going to be able to assemble everything. All right, so that hose. Maybe this one? Let's give it a shot. So we need to find that part, which is we're here. So we're back on this side. You know, it'd be really, really nice if it told you to flip it over and find the correct side and the correct hose. That's just too much. And then where does it go? Where does it attach to? It goes there. All right.
2 hours later.
We're going to come back because I'm still not quite sure where that hose goes. So let's come back to this side and let's attach these three. So at least this has arrows and it shows you where it goes. So we're going to get this hose because this looks like the right one. And you know what? We already have the bottom hose in. Let's try the middle hose first. That looks pretty cool. I like that. Seems like a good enough fit. All right. Let's get all these sanded off and then we can see where they go. All right. So I think we're back and I think we got this. So it takes a little trial and error, but as you can see, the hoses fit into here and you know what? They look pretty darn good. So I used some of the tester cement for these bigger holes because there's a little bit more play and it's not quite of a solid fit. And I used the Tamiya Extra Thin over here. Okay, so we have one more hole up there. Let's put some glue in there. Okay, just a little dot works for right now. We're going to get this hose. We're going to put that in there. Don't know how that quite lines up yet because it doesn't show what it connects to. The other direction said refer to step 11. So let's move these aside.